Well, good morning, folks. It's the real Captain Kirk here. It is the 16th of November, day 244 remote. For those of you that like countdowns, you have 34 days until winter, yikes, and 39 days till Christmas. That's a double yikes. Looking real quick here, last week's summary across the world, 8 through 14 November. These are, big map here is temperatures versus last year on our retail calendar. It's how our big customers like to look at the weather. Here in the U.S., warm, 12.2 degrees warmer than last year, making it the warmest in 4 years, 7th hottest in 35 years, so much above average temperatures across the U.S. Quite a bit wetter than last year, 5th wettest in 35 years, and snowfall was actually down 46% less than a year ago, least in 3 years. Still slightly above average in the Rockies. Up in Canada, warmer than a year ago, warmest in 4. Europe also warmest in 3. Russia warmest in 3. China warmest in 15 years, also warmest in 3 in India. Australia warmest in 5, and even Brazil was a tad warmer than last year, even though it was still on the cool side. Maps inset left are versus average. Looking at this week here for the U.S., 16 through 22 November. Again, hard to believe we're just a couple weeks away here from Thanksgiving, but this week, 4 degrees warmer than last year, warmest in 16 years, so much above average national temperatures. A little misleading here in the east. We're going to be very cold here for a few days here, midweek in the east, and then by the weekend we'll be back up in the near 60-degree temperatures here outside 360 Studios. Rainfall is a little bit similar to last year, 12th driest in 35 years. Some heavier rain in the Pacific Northwest, maybe the central U.S. Snowfall least in 8 years, 6th least in 35 years, so much below average on that front. We'll go through these 6-day snowfall maps here pretty quickly. You'll see some lake effect snow. Again, not overly heavy, but unless you're right near, maybe Lake Erie. But again, just some lake effect here as this colder weather comes into the northeast here midweek and then begins to exit pretty quickly here. We'll be, again, back near 60 here Friday, Saturday, Sunday here in the east. So again, on Thursday and then Friday again. So again, not much snow, a little bit out in the rocky high elevation here later this week. Big news here this week is going to be Cat 4 Iota landfall in Nicaragua-Honduras border area pre-dawn tomorrow. So late tonight into tomorrow morning. Devastating for these folks since they just got hit a little over a week ago. So again, very high terrain here as you can see. So the rainfall will be the biggest impact. Well over 5 inches actually. If you look at the more detailed map here, you can see we got spots there in Honduras that are up near 25-30 inches of rain. So that would just be catastrophic flooding in the northern parts of Honduras. So God bless these folks here. Looking at next week, 23 through 29 November. So this is Thanksgiving week and Black Friday. Warm, pretty much wall-to-wall warm here. So 4.5 degrees warmer than last year, making it the warmest in 22 years. 3rd warmest in 35 years. So much above average temperatures almost nationwide. Maybe a few spots there in the Rockies that are a little bit cooler. Wettest in 19 years, 2nd wettest in 35 years, so much above average on the precip front here. Snowfall least in 3 years, 8th least in 35 years, so much below average. It does look like as we get toward the Thanksgiving weekend, it's going to be pretty dry across the country, maybe an exiting storm in the northeast, but looks like your Turkey Day is for sure going to be warm and again drying out for most of the country. World outlook, again, if we just aggregate the 2 weeks here, again, wall-to-wall warm pretty much in the U.S. for the 2-week aggregate. A little bit warmer there in Europe and cool spots there in Middle East and parts of Africa and down in Brazil. Later today, we're going to actually do a call with one of our large Wall Street clients. And so, again, thought we'd share some of what we tell them here on this afternoon's call here. Again, updating them on how Q3, Q4 trends have been impacting the equity markets. One thing we'll talk about is obviously La Nina. This is a strong La Nina. It's already entering the strong category, and models project it could actually get very strong. So this is kind of an unusual teaming of cycles here with a strong La Nina, a cold Pacific, North Pacific, and a positive warm Atlantic Ocean. And then we obviously have the sun, and it's kind of a 100-year minimum, so it's a pretty weak sun. Rare that all these 3 things line up, 4 things line up together like this, but typically they kind of scream mild winter with not so much snow across the U.S., and drought is another big signature across kind of both North and South America. We'll also talk here about the hurricane season. Obviously, we're already record-shattering on many fronts here with 32 named systems here in 2020. Way above average, obviously. This is our early sneak peek at next year, 2020. We think while La Nina will decay, it's still not going to have much of an inhibiting factor on the Atlantic. So we think next year is potentially an equally active system, year with 23 named storms as kind of our early outlook. So another potentially devastating season. We always do a recap of what happened for Q3. Q3 is defined by the retail calendar as 2 August through 31 October. So these are some kind of the trends, year-over-year trends. So again, while we did have a little bit of a cooler conditions in the eastern half of the country here in Q3, which typically would be good for back to school and fall, wasn't overly great. It was 12th warmest in 35 years, driest in 5, snowiest in 29. A lot of snow was in the northwestern plains. Again, just some of the information we try to help our big customers understand the future here. This is our Q4 outlook, 1 November through 30 January, so part of the winter season here. U.S. Maybe a tad cooler here this winter, the core winter here, but still 11th warmest in 35 years, driest in 2, least snow in 7. So not looking for an overly terrible winter unless you're out in the Pacific Northwest and in the plains. What we like to do, though, is one bright spot might be around the Christmas time frame. This is, we think, one of the colder weeks on a year-on-year basis, at least, where it's Christmas week about 9 degrees colder than last year. Coldest in 10 years, below average nationally, driest in 4, some snow. So we'd say this is one of the most improved weeks of Q4. So we always like to quantify this with our Power 1 degree technology. And hot coffee, cough cold, moves up and down every degree colder, about a 2% increase. So multiply the math here with the weather, 18% up. Fleece jackets, boots up 27. Coats and electric consumption up 46%. Fire logs plus 73, heaters plus 91, and electric blankets up 218. So some good news. Again, a lot of pent-up inventory here. There's a lot of inventory backed up because of the warm November here, but hopefully get a chance to sell all this inventory as we get toward the core of the holiday shopping season. We'll also briefly discuss the flu season here, which we believe is going to be more like that 15-16 season, and that's kind of exactly where we're trending right now. So we're way below last year's very, very fast start. Actually, the last few years have had a very fast start, and for sure last year. We don't think that's going to be the case this year. Just social distancing, mask wearing. Southern Hemisphere is always a bellwether of what we had, and they had a non-existent flu season in Australia and South Africa and Brazil. So again, let's hope this plays out, that we actually have a not so bad flu season here. With that, folks, we hope you have a great week, and we will be back here this time next week.